Hello everyone, thanks for following DS Games playing SimCities Cities of Tomorrow, the complete editions. Uh, we have learned quite a lot, through this progress of development. Thanks guys for following. Okay, so this evening we have quite a few things to do, not much. We try to do some modifications to the CitiesWest. At the same time, to finish off our configurations on the Omega zoning for the City East. So, beside that, of course, we need to touch on here a bit to lay the reconfigurations to add on some of the facility, service and utilities. So, again, without further ado, let's proceed to our work for tonight. So along the way, if any of you guys feel that the video is doing good, you may want to give a thumbs up for us. And along the way also, if you have any comments, you may want to drop in a few or two, just to let us know how you think. We appreciate a lot for that. Okay, so yeah, let's start. Okay, as we mentioned earlier, we'll start off this evening SimCity 2013 on CitiesWest, trying to study and analyze what are the costs that we have been incurring substantially. Yeah, so that is there any way that we can save some costs? And of course, when we take a very good look, the power supply in this area is actually quite substantial. So we are at this moment using solar systems as well as wind turbines. So we're all up to quite a substantial amount of costs and expenses, of course. So, but the thing is, even with this, it does seem that we are still short of power supplies. As a result, you can see many of these are in the red. We are looking at with both cost and expenses add up, come out to 5,000 plus simulons per hour, which is killing. It's killing. You can see that once, even though you take out one, immediately our loss become profit. So what we can do here is try to save some costs, try to do some budgeting, yeah. So with those both taken out, when we put in of course, the nuclear plant, that's what we intend to do. So you can see that the cost of course is reduced. At the same time, the efficiency is increased, meaning you can supply more powers, and as a result, you won't have under power, so to speak. Of course, our solar system has radiation issues. When you know, we probably have to clean up this area here, because that's the place we intend to put the solar power plant. You see. So once we put that power plant here, we may need to vacant some of this zoning, meaning that residential or even industrial. Maybe we can leave some industrial there, but cannot be too near because radiation may be high. That's how we figure it out. We learned from our earlier development on the earlier CitiesEast, because nuclear can have can produce more powers. We probably will be using this until our we can do other some of these control net or even other means of powers and supplies cities. But at this moment, cost effectiveness, we can't be keep on increasing the land, whereas the city is not generating enough income. So for SimCity 2013, well, probably not just for SimCity 2013, for many of these city development games, when we pop in any buildings, especially for utilities and services, we need to think about the land area that we need to allocate because especially for SimCity 2013, yeah, you see we can actually expand. So when we expand, we need to give allowance to the expansion. If not, you will end up only having one, which is even land consuming. So for this case, we allocated this land, this plot of land, so that sometimes we can so-called upsize, especially for nuclear. We wouldn't want to construct all over or construct this nuclear power plant all over the land, all over the area. You see. So we need to allocate. Anyway, it's good to allocate, especially when you do this planning stage. So yeah, that's another thing we learned because initially when we started playing, we didn't actually do a good planning. So as a result, we can see City East. We of course we can go around go around the roads. We save up, then we have enough simulons. Then we start doing reconstructing, reconfiguration. But of course, all these things takes time. So if you have good planning, then many things will be different. So we learn. So even though we learn many of these things, we're still trying to understand how it works. Later on, as the development goes, you probably will see what I mean. So very got to do a lot of studies, and it's interesting definitely, but you got to put in a lot of effort and time, but it's fine. Just enjoy the games. So okay, we are done with the nuclear plant construction. So as we see earlier, immediately the power supply goes back to normal. So that is how it should be done. Well, at least at this moment. So things like Omega Power, all these things, of course, we're still interested in, but it's too complicated to construct. So even for this mega tower, you always have some problems. You know, one of the units, one of the floor, somehow not happy. You see no workers, no shoppings. It depends. For this case is concerned, it says no workers. So we got to give him some workers. So and these are the things I'm also not very sure. So by putting the solution in another plot of building, will it help? Well, I don't know. Supposing it should because there is a sky bridge, which should bring them around the mega tower. I would suppose. Anyway, the other tower is more or less full already, except the crown. So we try to solve his problem in another tower, this which is still under construction, and see whether it stopped the error or not. I mean, stop the problems or not. Another problem we want to solve is actually the problem that created by us. I mean, by ourselves. Much earlier of our development, because we need simulons, we need more simulons, so we increased the tax rate at that time. So tax rate of 20% is definitely high. Well, put it that way. As far as income tax is concerned, individually depending on the income level, the effective tax rate of 20% will means that for higher income should pay. but not in SimCities. They are across the floor, across the well, of course they are in different category lah. Low, high, medium. At this moment, we only have low. So I mean, to taxing that 20% is actually quite taxing. So we'll have to somehow one day reduce it down to probably 9 or even 10 at maximum. So progressively we'll do that to bring our expenses down. At the same time, increase our population so that our income will goes up lah. So need some time. You cannot one shot reduce the tax rate. You'll go crazy. Okay, with that, CitiesWest should be more or less done at this moment. So let it go, and move to CitiesEast to look at some of the changes we need, some of the reconfiguration that we need for CitiesEast. So you see it turning to red already, but it should be fine. Just give them some time. Offline I will let it run a bit, but not now. Just to let you guys see what are the changes I made. As far as I can, I will show. We will show. So here we are back to CitiesEast. So as you can see, we have kind of like vacant many of these industrial, zone it, unzone it, because the earlier configuration may have some problem with it. So when we were working out, we learn from there, then we move from there, then we change from there. As long as there is enough signals, we should be able to reconfigure it before it turn into huge losses, and then we bring it up again so that the income can sustain. So we can play around with it as far as you have enough infrastructure to do so. So when we continue our studies, we also, research. We also find out that as we mentioned earlier, because the oil and the natural resources, the oil and the crude oil, they are not under the same plot of land. So the pipes got to lay and stretch as far as we can through the respective natural resources accordingly. So unlike if both of these natural resources are within the same plot of land, it becomes easier. So while we're extending the pipes, we think about why are we having? We found that why are we having so many these Omega factories? Some of it may not be efficient, or some of it may not be effectively producing these Omegas. The problem is when you are not effectively producing the Omegas, the AI will say will report some problems with Omegas. Then it will be in red. Then it will boost down your population. Then thereafter it will, your income will lose. Then you're getting more and more expenses. Then you will become a loss, and your loss grow. So the way we think about it, maybe we should maybe we expanded too aggressively. Well, I think that's normal. Anybody will do that, as far as especially businesses that we came across. When you have enough cash, the company will try to expand. So not knowing it's very thin line between over expansion and what is required to expand. So because of this structure, back to this Omega, this SimCities, because of the structure of the natural resources. If you build too many Omega factories, it will not be helpful at all. Yeah. So, well, let us just put in all the respective pipes, because just don't forget the Omega factories need two things to run. It need crude oil and it also need oil. So of course, if you don't have, you will imports from external. So then you got to set your trade hub, trade depot, into imports, for the natural resources. Later we'll show you what I mean. But at this moment, because we have natural resources, we have in our earlier videos uh, draw out the pipes for the oil. But now we clear this area for our crude oil and put in the omega extraction port for the crude oil, so that at the same time they will extract the resources and goes back to the omega factories to produce omegas for the commercial and industrial and even residential zones. That is how they work. Here I'm trying to link up the roads now. Link up the roads after I, you know, sort of like rebuild. After I mean demolition all the buildings, industrial buildings, and after all the unzoning on the industrial, I need to reroute it, reroute my roads so that of course, so that to place the respective extraction ports as well as uh, to move to zone back the industrial. But zoning need roads. So I mean, this thing I think everybody knows. So what I'm trying to do now is trying to trying to make to draft the roads nicer. I know at this moment it's ugly. In fact, it's messy. So but no choice. Because of the problems on the pipes that we draw. So because it's uphill, downhill, the pipes has some limitations. So I got to follow the limitations. Then it gives you, then the road will have issues. That's I will look at it as unavoidable because we need to we cannot cross each other in the pipes of the roads. So let's see how it turn out. So now let's see, let's do some analysis to see which Omega factories shall we so-called shut down first. We are not going to demolish it because no point. So we have intent to build this Omega zone. So we will use that. We will need them eventually. But this area here, this land here, this pointer that I'm showing, this Omega factory that I'm pointing here, may potentially have some issues. I mean, it's definitely wrongly constructed, but because if you construct it that manner, the pipe cannot go in. So the pipe cannot go means that I cannot construct a extraction port to link the pipes back into the factories. So in other words, the only usage for this units of Omega factories, you can only import and export. So that means you cannot extract locally. But that can be done also. Like we can always leave the things like this. Not necessary extraction. Sometimes extraction may have some issue also. But just like we have natural resources, we are trying to learn as we go, see how we can maximize the extraction. That's why we build in the, we start exploring. That's the whole reason. So while we're exploring, we find out here, then we learn there, blah blah blah. This normal thing. So this is the second Omega factory we need to shut down. Uh, but notice that because of the shutting down, yeah, maybe it's okay to shut down. It should be fine because you can see the hope. But how come this extraction port is not? It's quite different from the one over the top left. There's no patches of orange. I mean brown or orange. Wondering if it's fully extracted. So anyway, we have. I think if I'm not mistaken, I have 4 Omega factories. So you probably need to shut down the third one so that we left one. So concentrating on the one and see how it turns out. That's my plan. That's our plan. Let's see how it goes. Well, whatever it is, as a result of the shutting down, also shut down some of the large fire stations, large police stations, which incur 1,700 of simulons per hour. We have managed to reduce our expenses down. So now it's only 4,000 odd. So probably by doing so, give some time to run, the population will eventually move up, ramp up, then we should be able to survive because the city is dying. If you're incurring net loss of 25,000, how long can you sustain even $1 million, man? No way. Okay, so yeah, that's the third Omega factories that I'm referring to. Again, as we learn as we construct, really we need to do analysis and studies and do some researches before we can actually before we scoot them, we do any construction. But fundamentally, planning is important. So we didn't plan initially. This is the first cities that we did. So what I'm saying is why are we constructing Omega surrounded with roads? That's silly. Then no pipes, nothing. You can't run anything. Interesting. You notice the problem here. Uh, well, I didn't do any zoning earlier. This zoning was left behind, meaning it actually belongs to the earlier configuration that we did. We have sort of like demolished some of the buildings. So I don't know whether you guys noticed the problems with this. Yeah, actually the problem is how can they construct any zoning? How can the zoning construct any building with such narrow roads? No way. So I because of the road that I newly drawn out, the zoning becomes not realistic. So need to rezone it, so to speak. Uh, Meaning you need to give allowance to enable the building to construct, of course. Yeah. So go to unzone and zone again. All right. So with this commercial zone, it should be more or less fully zoned, meaning probably no more area, no more land no more roads area that we can able to zone. So it should be, as I mentioned, and fully zoned. So next, we should just want to observe, see whether our understanding are correct. So we have shut down earlier these Omega factories. So you will see that the extraction, oh yeah, the extraction still goes back to the factory that we shut down, and then it comes out again. How? Or maybe he went in already, he said close. So close already, then he come out. Yeah, maybe the vehicle went in, then come out because it's closed, that's why it come out. Okay, so yeah, they are extracting and goes to the Omega factories that we have left so far. Well, not because left, we shut down 3. So okay, should be fine already. Yeah. Looking at the movement. Oops, oh, that's one more, last one. Maybe here we can also add some, even though it's little space. Yeah, we have quite a few more actually. Even though it's small, this one should be fine also. think that's all. Because in the yeah, focus needed, very standard. Well, we probably we have to let it run a bit and it should be fine. Okay, I think that's all for tonight. We're trying to not using too much of you guys' time. Maybe as we mentioned, see how it goes. We need to manage the length of our videos accordingly. So, all right, I think we should end this evening. So thank you guys for watching, especially watching towards the end. Appreciate a lot. Uh, if you guys like the way we produce our videos and like the way how we make the videos, do give us a thumbs up. So that it helps us to do better, like it puts us to do better. So if you can subscribe, and if you can subscribe, we will be very appreciated. We like it a lot, definitely. So meaning, if you can subscribe, it means that you are even interested in the things that we have been doing. So again, I want to say thank you for those guys who have subscribed to my channel. All these days. I mean, it actually helps us a lot. Help us to think, especially because as we mentioned, to plan. Planning is important. Many of these things that we've been doing at this moment is actually through thinking. Without a thinking process, it actually quite difficult to do. It become very dry and boring, like what we did in our much earlier videos. So again, all these are actually you boosted us. So you give us the like, you give us the subscription. It actually helps us a lot. And then we can push further. You see. So also, if you have any comments, please comments. We will try to get back to you as soon as we can. Uh, Definitely, if you can comments, we definitely come back. So yeah, so do comments. I would we need you guys to give us suggestions. Also, if you can share, do share around, so that the level can goes up. I mean the people who watch the videos can goes up because of you guys who share. Okay, I think that's all. See you soon in our next videos. Okay, thanks again, and bye. Have a good night. This is what we meant earlier to manage the imports and exports. I think we have sort of like go through in our earlier videos, but it doesn't matter. Just want to share more time. So as I mentioned just now, the imports, exports, as well as locally and used locally. So for any extraction of such resources, either you can use it to locally, or if not, you can export it. So for Omega factories, you need both ore and crude oil. So if you're not extracting locally, so you can't use locally, so you probably have to import it. So you have to choose accordingly on this tab here lah.